Void Spawn What Ifs here. This is going to be my second episode of What If Deku was a part of the Black Ops. And now, shall we get started? In the last episode, UA was attacked by All For One, by his several Nomus and villains. Deku and his best friend, Rhino, along with some other villains, were able to hold off the attack until All Might arrived. And now, that is basically it. Now, shall we go to the next one? As the UA was currently repairing because of the damage which was sustained at the attack, several teachers were, well, expressing their worries to the principal. And, well, the principal of UA simply called for All Might to be in the school 24/7, along with all the children, along all the students, so they wouldn't be prone to, well, attacks by villains at the houses, which happened. Several students of classes 1B, 1C, and all of the other ones, including some in the support course, were attacked and tragically killed by either villains or Nomus. All For One coordinated an attack which would have taken him months to normally accomplish. UA was extremely unhinged because, well, All For One did such a bold attack, simply meaning that he was preparing something for them. They didn't know what, and that made them scared. So much that even the army now was stepping in, and a full lockdown curfew of Tokyo began. As army group and an army group, battalions, simply went into the city to try and defend against the Nomus, which were at this point coming in regularly. Even the Alpha One was somehow able to find a much better way to make them. Low-grade Nomus had about 2 quirks with them. Super strength, or maybe super speed, or on the rarer cases they could even fire projectiles. Energy beams, explosive bullets, or just bullets. Then there were the second-rate Nomus. They were the third most powerful ones. They had 3 quirks. Usually regeneration, super strength, and the third quirk being their ace of spades, so to say, their trick card, or trap card, I should better say. Then there were the third grade Nomus. They had 4 quirks, usually being, just like I said, super strength, super speed, and also super regeneration. Regeneration much stronger than that of the low-grade Nomus, but still not as strong as the final grade of Nomus, those being the black ones, the 4th grade. They were extremely powerful and were capable of regeneration and, well, rather powerful strength boost as well. And the fact that they also had multiple plethora of quirks, some even up to 10 quirks at once. Although these were the rarest, and they took the most out of All For One to make. But still, at the rate which this was going, the army, along with the mercenary company, Black Rose, both Deku's father, and his best friend Rhino had to do something about it. And, well, something did happen finally the next day, that is, several weeks after the UA attack. There was a sighting of a 2nd grade Nomu near UA. Mina. That is, all of you probably know who Mina is from class 1A in the anime. She was being attacked by the 2nd grade Nomu. Deku jumped in and fired several shots in it. It was able to regenerate until Deku pulled out a specialized vibro knife. An extremely hard and sharp metal which could not be corroded and could not be easily destroyed, meaning that even Shigaraki would have a problem doing anything against it. And so he saved Mina. Mina thanked him greatly, and well, she asked him if he was free sometime because, well, she wanted to ask him out to go get coffee together. Deku accepted, remarking that she is cute. And, well, after that little incident, everything went pretty normally, except that the army, the heroes, were always in Tokyo, and most other cities patrolling the area. There were also heroes stationed at different places, that being the countryside, but those heroes slowly began disappearing. Nobody knew what happened to them, but most immediately took to the worst case scenario. They were killed by villains or Alpha One's goons. Along that, several villages also were completely gone. Nobody left, complete and utter ghost towns. Alpha One was moving, and he was doing a lot of damage to Japan. Many of their factories and food industries were also affected. And well, at that point the heroes had enough. The Black Rose Mercenary Company was expanded, that every single major Japanese city had one of their, well, recruitment posts. And oh boy, did they get a lot more recruits. At this point, Deku and Ryan, that is, Deku was promoted to a commander role. He had 120 soldiers under his command, which, in all honesty, he did not mind it at all. He was a good leader, and well, one more thing which they had was a specialized quirk unit, basically special ops of the special ops, which had the ability to use their quirks freely. Well, so some of the other ones also had the ability to use quirks if they weren't cumbersome to the rest of the, well, squad. Although the specialized quirk squads were a lot more difficult to beat by Nomus or by villains. They were highly trained and proficient in using their quirks. And usually they were made so that each quirk could help out the other one. So for say, let's say if somebody had a fire quirk and somebody had a gas quirk, they would work in unison to create gigantic explosions of gas. Or let's say there was a quirk which could immediately freeze water and somebody who could shoot out water from his hands. I believe that all of you get the point. But one of the quirks which they most needed was super intelligence, or just intelligence, which they did find. Not many of them, but they did find quite a few, which still helped them in the long run. They still didn't know where All for One was, nor where his main base was, but they were finding smaller facilities with gnomes inside of them. Black Rose was sent to one of them to deal with it, shall we say. Quite a few of them had a lot of different things in store. Some were torture facilities, some were used for human experimentation or trafficking, some were used for testing out different quirks, and some were simply putting into labor camps, where they were mining resources to help All for One. They didn't know why, but soon they did, as the next time Tokyo was attacked, it wasn't attacked by Nomus nor by villains. It was attacked by robots. War robots, should I say a bit more correctly. Needless to say, heroes had a bit of a tough time dealing with them because there was a lot of them. For each soldier in the city, there was about, for 5 soldiers in the city, or 1 hero in Tokyo, there was always about 2 robots for it. So each hero had to go up against 2 robots, and each 5 soldiers also had to go up against 2 robots. But then there were also different types of robots. There were some specialized in reconnaissance, some which were basically suicide bombs, which would explode when they got near a living person or getting near a heartbeat. Black Rose was used to completely and utterly. Black Rose in Tokyo was almost completely destroyed, with one of those casualties being Deku's father. Deku, in a fit of rage, simply started shooting his gun blindly. But in the middle of all of that, he finally realized something. His reach had furthered up to 1 kilometer. His quirk was now stronger than his father's could ever be. With 1 kilometer of range, he completely and utterly destroyed every single robot he came into the vicinity of. And well, as that was going on, many people didn't exactly know what to do, because that was the deadliest attack which happened in different cities. But they were able to repel it, although several smaller towns were completely destroyed. And well, sadly for the Japanese government, All for One wasn't done yet. But I'm going to be telling you all of that about in the next episode. I hope that all of you guys enjoyed, and I hope all of you have a wonderful day. This is me signing off. See ya.